Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is my review of Blackadder 2. Now, as I said before, they barely ever repeat the first season of Blackadder on TV. In fact, one of my earliest memories of watching Blackadder, I knew there were two different seasons, Blackadder 2 and Blackadder the Third, and I thought Blackadder 2 was called that because it was shown on BBC 2, and the other one was shown on BBC 1, so... No, it's called Blackadder 2 for a very different reason. But then, in my defence, I'd never seen or even heard of the first Blackadder. So yeah, it was as if it didn't exist. They repeat it so seldom. Well, it does exist. The first season does exist, and I think my earliest memory of Blackadder is from Blackadder 2, when Blackadder shows the Queen a fantastic gift from a faraway country, a boomerang, and she goes, "What is it? It's a stick. Is it a stick, Edmund?" And I was like, how can she not know what it is? It's a boomerang. Everybody knows that. But then it was the first time I'd seen it, and yes, it's set in the past. People didn't know things like that, yeah. Anyway, the first series of Blackadder, 40 years ago, 1983, was on a huge, big budget. There were lots of extras and, lots of sets built and filmed on location in real castles, But was not the big hit they were hoping for. And the writers asked the BBC, please give us another chance, let us do a season 2. And the BBC said, all right, we'll give you the go-ahead to do a second series, but on one condition. The budget is cut down on a big scale. Yeah, it's a much, much smaller budget. So, for instance, there's one episode of Blackadder 2 when Sir Walter Raleigh, who was the greatest explorer of all time at that time, he's being greeted home. Thousands of people at the seaport all cheering, hooray, hooray, he's home, our greatest hero has returned home. They're off camera. The big crowd of people is off camera, so we can hear them, but we can't see them. Yes, to save money on the budget. And the bit when Blackadder and his friends, their ship crashes, or almost crashes, but a tropical island, and Baldric has to describe the volcano with the molten lava and the cannibals and the jungle trees, because we can't see it. That's all off camera. So yes, yeah. They found ways around it now that they're on a smaller budget, yeah. But because it's a smaller budget, there's more focus on character development. So that was a blessing in disguise, yeah. Okay, why is Blackadder 2 the best one? Well, I suppose because it's funnier jokes. The characters are more likeable, more appealing, yeah. And but me personally, one of the things I loved about it was this great buddy feeling, all these pals together, Blackadder, Baldric and Percy, when they get in a pickle, they have to help each other out, to get out of trouble. Like the formula of the first one, only executed a lot better this time round, yeah. Queen Elizabeth I, didn't know what she looked like before. I knew what she looked like from watching this, yeah, because that iconic dress, yeah. So, yes, it was educational and entertaining at the same time. Why does Elizabeth I, in this incarnation of her, travel everywhere with Nursey, who was like, the one that looked after her when she was a baby? And, two reasons. Because, she feels very close to her. She's like her surrogate mother, yeah. And secondly, because Elizabeth I is like a little girl, like a spoiled little brat, because she inherited so much power when she was very young, still in her 20s. And she has a very casual attitude about sending people to prison or having their heads cut off. Yeah, she's very modest considering just how many people she killed. And oddly enough, the actress, Miranda Richardson, wasn't told to play the character like a spoiled little girl, but she did, and got the part. That helped the show. Yeah, she is one of the lead characters, yeah. And the show is set in the Elizabethan era, yeah. So in other words, a satire is a joke that's making a serious point. In this case, Miranda Richardson played Elizabeth I like a spoiled little brat because she was. Yeah. Oh, she was noble and majestic, but other times she had temper tantrums, real little madam, yeah. Anyway, okay, let's get to my favourite episode, which is called Beer. Ironic, really, because I don't drink alcohol, but this was executed in a very yes, Elizabeth I says that word execute a lot, yeah. And she likes to bluff, pretend she wants to chop people's heads off, and then says, only a joke, and others pretend to find it funny, yeah. Anyway, because it's funny because a drinking contest, we still have them now, so yes, one of the appealing things about the sitcom in general is it can apply in any time period, yeah. Anyway, it's funny because there's a drinking contest going on in Blackadder's house, but he's accidentally invited some other people that are devout Catholics who hate drinking alcohol. So yes, he says to Percy and Baldric, we're going to have 2 parties in this house tonight, and they must be kept utterly separate. How can you do that? Well, they find ways around it, yeah. And it's his aunt and his uncle, Lord and Lady Whiteadder, who hate drinking alcohol, and they hate gambling. And there's gambling and drinking going on just across the corridor, yeah. But Blackadder comes up with these stupid, silly excuses as to what's going on in the other room, yeah. And, oh yes, Lady Whiteadder and Lord Whiteadder, they are Catholics, you know, yeah. It was illegal to be a Catholic at the time, but why are they here at all? Well, because Blackadder is looking at the big picture, which is money. Yes, if he makes a good impression, he will inherit lots of money off them. Yes, yeah. And so, yes, he does dabble with the law, does do a lot of naughty things, but if it means to an end, that's the way he justifies it. In the original Blackadder, Rowan Atkinson, he played the character of Edmund like he's a weak-willed little wimp, a sniveler, you know, totally terrified of everything. And other times he's really strong-willed and determined to get what he wants. It's like he couldn't decide how to play the character, how to get it quite right, yeah. Well, in his defence, this was the first time we'd ever seen a Blackadder. So anyway, in Blackadder 2, the writers tidied the character. Let's make him witty and intelligent and focused, yeah. We have stupid characters in it, yes, but no, they're like, his servant is really stupid and his friend Percy's stupid, yeah. So yes, they tidied the character up. He's much more confident and focused this time round, yeah. The other big change is, of course, Ben Elton is now the new co-writer. And he was hugely successful at the time because he just had massive success with the young ones. And he was one of the top stand-up comedians, yeah. And at the end of his shows, he'd say, my name's Ben Elton, good night, yeah. Anyway, Lord Percy, yes, in the first season, I wasn't sure if Percy was a servant or not, but in this one, he is a lord. He's on the same equal level as Blackadder. But you might not think so because he's so stupid and Edmund talks down to him a lot. But deep down inside, they do like each other. In fact, when Blackadder owes lots of money to the Bishop of Bath and Wells, £1,000, and that's like the equivalent of £1 million, Blackadder has to come up with this brilliant plan to frame him. Percy helps him. He has to do something really disgusting and undignified to frame the bishop, but he's willing to do it for his friend. Yes, take one for the team, yeah. Oh yes, and another gag in there is when Blackadder has to sell his house, and he sells it to Mr. and Mrs. Pants, and they say, what about the privies? We don't want any indoor toilets. We prefer outdoor. Now, in the modern world, everyone has indoor toilets. What kind of moron would want to not have an indoor toilet? Well, indoor toilets took a while to catch on. Yeah, yes, for hundreds of years, as a matter of fact, yeah. Anyway, as clever as he is, Blackadder, he finds a way to get his house back. So yes, always there's a problem. He sorts it out with the help of his 2 faithful friends, yeah. And Lord Melchett, the real sniveler to the Queen, like a counsellor or a chamberlain, yeah. But he laughs in a very snivelly way, do anything for the Queen. But then it's a means to an end. Yes, if you're good friends with the Queen, you get lots of money, you get a title and all this, that and the other. Oh yes, and Blackadder, he's not that impressed with some historical events. Like, for instance, he's not impressed with Sir Walter Raleigh. Walter Raleigh went to America. America had already been discovered. But no, he brought back tomatoes, turkeys and tobacco. And, of course, the potato. The most greatest discovery ever, the potato, because Europeans had never seen anything like it. It was delicious, and it was very cheap to grow, to cultivate, yeah. But Blackadder's not that impressed. Oh, potatoes, so what? Big deal, yeah. Blackadder, is he genuinely not impressed with Sir Walter Raleigh? Or is he not impressed because he can't imagine anyone more impressive than himself? Because he's so vain, his vanity, you know, yeah. Well, you make up your own mind. Either way, he's not impressed. In fact, to show how easy it is to be an explorer, he agrees to go to explore somewhere that Walter Raleigh hasn't discovered yet, yeah. And takes his companions and Captain Rum, and he goes, we're not going to the Cape of Good Hope at all. We are, in fact, going to the south of France. And Percy says, Edmund, surely France has already been discovered. I mean, I'm very stupid, but even I know that, yeah. And Edmund says, precisely, it's a trick. We go to the south of France, stay there for about 6 months, get a good suntan, come back and get all the glory. I mean, how are they going to know? They're going to be none the wiser, yeah. So in other words, we're guaranteed to return to England. So yeah, that's great, yeah. 3 days later, they're hopelessly lost. The captain of the ship, Captain Rum, he doesn't know the way to France. Oh, good grief. I mean, I'm not an expert navigator, but even I could find my way from London to France. Oh, this is like the worst captain ever, yeah. So all kinds of obstacles and shenanigans happen, yeah. And, okay, big spoiler alert here. In the last ever episode, oh yes, Hugh Laurie was in 2 episodes, different characters he played. So yes, I always assumed Blackadder the Third, that was his first outing into the Blackadder story. No, he was in it before. Anyway, in the last episode, Hugh Laurie plays Prince Ludwig, the Indestructible. Okay, catchy title, yeah. And he intends to take over England, because if you take over England, you take all the colonies and everything. You'll be the most powerful man in the world, yeah. And as I said, spoiler alert, Edmund comes up with a great plan to escape out of prison because they've been kidnapped, and they have to save the Queen and save the kingdom. But after all the credits have gone up, they're all dead. All the main characters are dead, including the Queen. And Prince Ludwig is disguised as the Queen because he is a master of disguise. So for the last remaining years of Elizabeth's reign, yes, it was in fact an imposter ruling, yeah. A bit like the end of the first season. Yeah, all the royal family are dead, replaced by a different leader, yeah. Now, obviously that didn't really happen, but it's a what-if concept. What if an imposter replaced Queen Elizabeth and ruled in her place, yeah. So yes, it's showing how history isn't always that accurate and sometimes, yeah. But speaking of inaccuracies, there are references to Shakespeare. Now, Shakespeare didn't get famous until 1593, so it must take place in the 1590s. But in the 1590s, Elizabeth I was a very, very old woman, and yet she's played by a young actress. So, okay, they do take some liberties, just a few. Most of it is historically accurate, but every now and again, a few liberties here and there, yeah. So, Blackadder, very witty. Yes, he earns favour from the Queen and everything, yeah. And when I was 7, okay, there were jokes that I didn't understand because I didn't know my history and stuff. But there was one joke I got. It was Percy claims he's discovered gold. He's turned a worthless metal into gold. Edmund has a look and says, Percy, it's green. The colour of gold is gold. That's why it's called gold. What you've discovered is some green, you know. But yes, we'll make lots of jewellery out of it, but it looks like snot. Gold is worth a lot of money because it's very rare and because it's beautiful. Nobody is going to make rings and necklaces out of an element that looks like snot. No, that's not going to work. No way, no. But his friends try and help him. Sometimes their plans go wrong, sometimes they work. So yeah, this great buddy feeling. In other words, if you're going to watch any Blackadder, make sure you see Series 2. Yes, Blackadder 2 does the most justice to the Blackadder saga. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.